The night sky over Earth was quiet. No one saw them coming, far beyond the moon. Just outside the range of Earth's strongest telescopes, something large moved in the darkness. No engines, no lights. Just shadows drifting slowly through space. It was not one ship. It was a fleet over 200 vessels, all black as the void, shaped like blades or hammers. Each one was built for war. They did not send signals. They did not reply to greetings. They simply floated forward, watching. On Earth, people lived their lives, unaware of what was heading their way. In a small cabin in Alaska, deep in the frozen north, an old man sat alone. His name was Dr. Ethan Mears. He had once worked for the United Nations as a top geophysicist, but now he was retired, living near the edge of a glacier. Every day, Ethan walked across the snow with his dog, Max, and checked his machines. He had buried sensors deep in the ice years ago, said they were to track melting. But secretly, he was listening, not for voices, but for patterns, vibrations, changes in the Earth's pulse. And this morning, he heard something different. Old speaker on his table crackled. It sounded like a low thump. Then another, a pause. Then another. It was slow, deep, and steady. Max, Ethan whispered, "That's not ice." The dog tilted its head. Ethan adjusted the dials. The sound continued. He leaned forward, writing it down. The pattern repeated. It was not random. But it was not human. It was coming from under the glacier. He stood up and went to the window. Snow was falling. The mountains were still. But he felt something else now, something under his feet. A soft hum, just at the edge of feeling. The Earth was stirring at the same time. In a space station orbiting Earth, a young woman named Leela worked the night shift. She was a systems analyst. Her job was to watch the satellites and report any strange activity. Most nights were boring. Nothing ever happened. But tonight her screen flashed red. "Object detected," it said. "Unidentified mass approaching solar system edge." She blinked. That couldn't be right. She zoomed in. For a second she saw it just. A shadow against the stars. Then the satellite went dark. What the? She tried to reboot the feed. But 2 more satellites also went offline. She sat back, confused. 3 satellites shutting down at once. That was impossible. She called her supervisor, but he didn't answer. She sent a report, but no one replied. The station lights flickered. Lila looked out the window. Space looked the same, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching. Back in Alaska, Ethan called his old contact at the Geological Agency. Her name was Helen. "Helen, are your instruments showing anything strange?" he asked. Ethan. "It's 3 a.m. What's wrong?" "I think the planet is reacting to something. Vibrations. Deep ones. Something is waking up." She sighed. "You've said that before." "I'm serious. It feels different. Like something alive, deep underground." Helen hesitated. Then she said, "There was a reading from Yellowstone yesterday. A spike in heat, but no earthquake." "Same here," Ethan said. "Except I'm hearing a pattern. A thumping like footsteps." "Under the glacier?" "Yes, and it's getting louder." A day passed. Then, too, the alien fleet reached Saturn's orbit. Still no sound, no movement. Then one ship broke off from the group. It moved faster, heading directly toward Earth. In a control center in Washington, D.C., the top brass of Earth's military watched silently. "What is it doing?" asked General Rayner. "Just watching us, sir." "No weapons activated. No signals." Rayner frowned. "It's testing us, probing our defenses. They might think we're weak." Rayner nodded. "We might be." He turned to his assistant. "Get the president. We might have to make first contact." But no one wanted to be the first to speak, and the alien ship did not stop. 2 more planes disappeared. One over the Pacific, another over the Arctic Circle. No wreckage, no distress call, just gone. Ethan saw it on the news. He turned to his dog. They're here, Max. Something is happening, and I don't think Earth likes it. That night, the ground shook slightly. Not an earthquake, just a low rumble that rolled through the valley. The ice cracked. Sensors spiked. Then a strange thing happened. A pulse of heat surged up from the glacier. Instruments froze. The metal twisted. A nearby tree bent slightly. Toward the mountain, like it was being pulled. Ethan stepped outside. The sky was clear. The stars twinkled. But the wind was wrong. It moved in circles, softly. Like it was searching, and then he heard it again. That heartbeat. Stronger now. Closer, Lila. Couldn't sleep. She checked the backup satellites from her laptop. More black spots. More system errors. Something was jamming. Earth's vision. She pulled out an old piece of software. Her father had written a tool to read ghost data, leftovers and shutdown systems. What she found made her freeze. There were signals. Weak ones. Hidden inside the noise, and they were coming from inside Earth. From the mantle, from the oceans, from deep underground. And the signal wasn't just data. It was a voice, not words. Just one repeating phrase. We see you. She dropped the laptop. The screen blinked out. In deep space, the alien ship continued its slow path. It had no need for stealth. It believed Earth was unarmed. The humans were unorganized, weak. There. Technology was primitive, but the ship began to pick up interference. Static. Electromagnetic shifts. Heat patterns across the planet's core. None of it made sense. Inside the ship, the captain, a tall creature with silver skin and black eyes, grew uneasy. It clicked its mandibles and hissed to its second in command. Something is wrong with the planet. It moves, like it is aware. Perhaps. It is their defense system? No, this feels older. Much older. They zoomed in on Earth's surface. Volcanoes glowed with strange heat. Storms began to form over the oceans, without warning. And far below, the core began to shift. Ethan sat near. His fire, watching the news, more anomalies. A power station in Brazil had gone offline. A mountain in Tibet had changed color. A river in Africa had reversed direction for 10 minutes. None of it was possible. But it was happening. He took a deep breath. They're waking it up, he whispered. The Earth. He looked at Max. The dog was growling softly, staring at the door. Then the ground shook again, this time harder. Ethan grabbed his coat and ran outside. The glacier was glowing. Not brightly, just faintly, like it held a memory of light inside. He walked closer. The snow melted around his boots, and then he heard it, not a thump, but a voice, soft, deep and clear. Do not fear, I remember. Ethan fell to his knees. What are you? There was no reply. Only silence. But the message was clear. Earth was not a rock. It was a watcher. A sleeper. And it was beginning to wake up. The alien fleet changed formation. Ships spread out. Scanners activated. Weapons readied. They had planned to land quietly. Take over major cities. Shut down communication. Now, they weren't so sure. They had conquered many planets. But none like this. None that felt them coming. Inside the main ship, the commander gave a cold order. Test the surface. A smaller ship broke off and flew toward the Pacific. It reached the clouds, entered the atmosphere, and scanned the ocean. Then, without warning, the ocean rose up high, tall, like a wall of water with no wind behind it. The ship tried to escape, but the waves swallowed it whole, and then the sea became calm again, on Earth. Nobody noticed, except Lila. She was watching live weather data when she saw the wave. She checked for a storm. Nothing. No quake. No winds. Just a single wave, 10 stories tall, that came. Went in under 3 minutes. She called the Space Center. They're here, she said. And something else is too. The man on the line laughed. That's not possible. Check the satellite logs from yesterday, and the ocean sensors. Something huge is moving out there. Pause. Then he said, we'll look into it. But Lila knew the truth. Earth wasn't defenseless. It was waiting, and the moment had come. Far below the surface, deep in the mantle, old things stirred. Not machines, not creatures, something deeper, a memory, force. The Earth had been alive once, and now it was alive again, waiting for the right moment to show its true form, and the aliens had no idea what they had just awakened. The sun rose over the Pacific Ocean. To the people of Earth, it was just another normal day. But above the clouds, something moved fast, too fast for the human eye. A small black object flew silently across the sky. It was one of the alien scout ships, sleek and quiet. It did not make a sound. No heat. No light. It flew like a shadow. Its mission was simple. Observe, test, report. The ship flew over Hawaii. Then it changed direction and moved toward Los Angeles. Inside the ship, a creature with blue skin and silver eyes tapped a screen. It was studying Earth's communication systems. Radio towers, satellites, internet cables, everything that humans use to stay connected. They are loud, the creature hissed, but their minds are not united. Sent a signal back to the fleet. Begin disruption. A few hours later, strange things started happening across the world. In Tokyo, cell phones stopped working. In London, airplane radar screens went black. In New York, internet speed dropped to 0. At first, people thought it was a glitch, power problem, a simple bug. But it wasn't. The aliens had begun their silent attack. They didn't fire weapons. They didn't show their ships. They just started shutting the world down, piece by piece. It was slow, quiet, almost invisible, and that made it even more dangerous. In Alaska, Dr. Ethan Mears sat by his machines. His radio buzzed with static. He tried to connect to the weather station. Nothing. He turned to his old backup radio. Still nothing. Then he checked his sensors buried deep in the glacier. The signals were still there. That strange heartbeat, still slow, still steady, meant now it was louder. Like it was responding. Max, his dog, stood near the door, ears up, tail stiff. Something was coming. Ethan opened his notebook and drew the pulse pattern. It now matched something he had seen 1 years ago during a deep Earth scan. It wasn't just a random sound. It was communication. The planet was talking. Far away in a small apartment in New Delhi. Leela sat on her bed, staring at her laptop screen. She hadn't slept in 2 days. Her internet was gone. Her phone had no signal, but her old hard drive still worked. On it, she'd saved the signal she decoded earlier, the one that came from Earth's core. She played it again, a slow rhythm, not music, not words. Just a feeling. We see you. She added the newest data she had stolen from a space agency server. The global satellite network was being taken down, quietly, system by system. No one was doing anything. No one believed what was happening. She did, and she had a plan in Washington, D.C. The military leaders were worried. 10 more satellites offline, said a technician. No sign of enemy ships, asked General Rayner. Nothing visual, sir, but something is taking out our eyes. The general stood by the window. Outside, people walked, talked, smiled. They had no idea. We can't defend what we can't see, he said. What if this isn't an attack? Asked an officer. Then what is it? The officer whispered, a warning. That evening, something terrifying happened. A commercial airplane, flying over the Pacific Ocean, disappeared. It did not crash. There was no explosion, no signal. One moment it was on the radar, the next it was gone. People assumed it was a system error, but it was. 2 hours later, a second plane vanished over the Arctic, then a third flying from Europe to Canada. Panic started to spread, and still no one saw anything in the sky. The alien ship that flew over the Pacific returned to the fleet inside. The commander received its report. Earth's systems are weak, said the scout, but the planet is reacting. How? Heat pockets. In the ocean, shifts in land, a signal rising from the core. The commander narrowed its silver eyes. This world is not empty, it said. Something ancient is hidden beneath the surface. They sent a message to the fleet, prepare for full scan of the planet. But it was already too late. In Brazil, a man was walking his dog when he saw something strange. The trees in the jungle moved. Not from wind. They moved away from something. The birds flew in circles. The ground buzzed under his feet. Like a motor inside the soil, then a hole opened in the earth. He ran. The hole wasn't deep. But inside, there was light. A dim blue glow, like from a machine, but it was not a machine. The light pulsed in the same rhythm Ethan had heard. The earth was waking up. Leela finally contacted Ethan. She had found his old papers online, his theories. About a living earth, about deep signals in the crust. She sent a short message using a secure radio band. To her surprise, he answered, "Who are you?" He asked. "My name's Lila. I've seen the signals too. They're real. The earth is trying to talk." Ethan paused. "Yes, and I think it's warning us." "I agree," she said, "but no one's listening." Ethan asked, "What do you want to do?" She replied, "Wake them up." They started working together. Lila sent him old data she had stolen. Ethan compared it to the heartbeat under the glacier. It was a match. Same rhythm, same pulse, and it was spreading. Small reports from across the globe came in quiet, ignored by news channels. A mountain in Chile made a deep sound at night. A lake. In Russia, it began to bubble. In Africa, an old cave started glowing. In each place, the same thing appeared. A soft blue light, always in the same pattern. The earth was not passive. It was intelligent, and it was preparing for something. The alien commander grew restless. "Why is the planet resisting our scan?" "The core is blocking us," said one of the scientists. "It's pulsing energy back at our systems." "It's not possible, Commander. This world is fighting back." They decided to destroy a small section of land. A test. They picked an empty island in the Pacific. A ship flew low and fired a beam, but before the beam could hit, the water near the island rose again. A wave hit the ship with perfect aim. The ship lost control and crashed into the sea. Another wave covered it. Then silence. The island was untouched. The commander stood silent. He turned to his second in command. "Prepare all ships," he said. "This world has defenses, but they are not human." Back on Earth, Ethan received a new signal. This one was not just a pulse. It had shape, a message. He used his old software to translate it into sound. A voice came through low. "Ancient Com, we are not machines. We are not gods. We are memory. We are stone. We are sky. We are ocean. We remember." Ethan stared at the speaker. "Who are you?" he whispered. The voice replied, "We are Earth." Lila heard it too. Her laptop screen went white. Then the same words appeared in glowing blue. "Text," she cried. She wasn't crazy. Earth was alive, and it was on their side. But not everyone would believe them. Not yet. More planes vanished. A satellite fell from orbit. A volcano erupted without warning, then stopped mid-eruption. Like it had changed its mind. The planet was not just reacting. It was guiding, waiting for the perfect moment to strike back. The alien fleet began to gather. Their weapons hummed with energy. They thought they were ready. They were wrong, because they were not fighting humans. They were facing a world that had survived time, storms, comets, and more. A world with a memory. A world that now had a voice, and that voice had just spoken. The first move was made not by them, but by Earth itself. For 3 days, strange things kept happening across Earth, but no one gave a clear answer. Governments stayed quiet. News channels made excuses. Some people believed it was just bad weather. Others thought it was a glitch in the satellites. But the truth, it was far worse. The enemy had already arrived, and they were walking among us. It started with a video. A woman in Tokyo filmed something strange from her apartment window. A tall office building was bending like rubber, not falling, not breaking, just slowly bending forward. And then back. She gasped and kept recording. But when she checked her phone later, the video was gone, deleted. Her phone shut off and never worked again, she told her friends, but no one believed her. They said it was just the wind, but she knew what she saw, and she wasn't the only one in Iceland. A team of researchers visited an old volcano that hadn't erupted in over 500 years, but now the ground around it was warm. Too warm. One man dropped a metal tool into a crack. It melted. They left quickly as they hiked down the mountain. The ground behind them cracked open, but there was no lava. Inside the crack, blue light glowed softly. Like veins under the Earth's skin, it pulsed once. Then again, the volcano was breathing. Dr. Ethan Mears watched all this from his cabin. He had printed news stories, screenshots, maps. He pinned them all to his wall. They all showed the same pattern. The Earth was changing, but only where the aliens were scanning. Ethan circled 5 hot zones on the map. 1 in Asia, 2 in the oceans, 1 in Africa, 1 in the Arctic, he whispered. These are not natural changes. These are ... defenses. Lila was also watching. She had connected her system to the last working satellite. Her screen showed a ghost, image of something big above Canada. The outline looked like a ship, but no one reported anything. It was cloaked. Hiding in the sky, she enhanced the image and froze. A long black shape, floating alien. They're already here. She said, in a forest in Canada, a boy named Jason went missing. He was hiking with his father when he stepped behind a rock and never came back out. Search teams came. They found no footprints, no signs of struggle. It's just a strange circle of scorched leaves, perfectly round, and the animals were gone. No birds. No insects. Even the wind stopped blowing. It was like the forest was holding its breath then. At night, the trees started to hum. The alien commander stood inside the main ship, watching Earth from above. He was angry. Our scans are weak. The planet interferes. One officer stepped forward. There are areas we cannot enter. Something pushes us back. Pushes you back. The commander asked. Yes, Commander. The ground itself resists us, Commander growled. What kind of world is this? They had landed on planets before. They had burned forests, turned oceans into vapor, broken moons. But this planet was strange. It pushed back in the Andes Mountains. A team of soldiers were sent to investigate an ancient temple. The area had been quiet for years, but recently locals said they heard music coming from the stones. Music with no source. The soldiers laughed, but when they reached the temple, the leader stopped smiling. Symbols on the walls were glowing, moving. A soldier touched one, and the ground shook. He vanished. Gone. The others ran behind them. The temple door sealed shut, and from deep inside the mountain, a voice echoed, "You do not belong here." Lila received a strange message on her computer. It wasn't from any human source. No sender. No trace. Just a single file with binary code. She translated it. It said, "I remember the last war." She sat back in her chair. What war? Then more words appeared. They came before. Long ago, I survived, Lila whispered. You've done this before? The screen flashed once more. Yes. Ethan's sensors in Alaska picked up a strange pattern. The heartbeat he had been tracking had changed. It now had 2 layers. One was the slow, deep pulse he knew, but the second was sharp, fast. Like a warning, he opened his old radio, and this time didn't just hear a beat. He heard a voice. Danger walks the surface. Not all that is human. It's still human. Ethan's face went pale. He understood. Some aliens had already landed, and they were not in ships anymore. They were wearing human faces at a military base in Nevada. A soldier named Corporal Adams began acting strange. He no longer slept. He no longer blinked. His voice had no emotion. He stared at people too long one day. He walked into a room full of computers. Placed his hand on the server wall, and the entire base lost power. No one could explain it. He was questioned, but he said nothing. Later that night, he vanished. The camera footage was empty, just a flicker of static, and then he was gone. Ethan called Lila. They've landed. I'm sure of it. Some of them are already on Earth, Lila replied. I've seen it too. A ship above Canada. They're cloaked. They're experimenting. Ethan said, Earth is reacting. It remembers something. A past invasion. Even millions of years ago, Lila asked. Why didn't we know? Because Earth never told us. Until now. That night, something impossible happened in the city of Cairo. The pyramids shook. Not much. Just a soft rumble. Tourists ran. But inside the oldest pyramid, something opened. A chamber never seen before, and inside it, a stone covered in glowing blue writing. Scientists rushed to it, but when they touched it, they fell unconscious. Each one saw the same vision. A planet under attack. Cities turned to dust. The oceans boiling. A deep voice crying out in rage. And then dashed silence. In the present day, the voice returned from deep within the earth. It spoke once more. This time not in sound, in dreams. Thousands of people across the world woke up screaming. They all said the same thing. I saw the sky bleed. I saw the earth fight back. The alien commander grew nervous. The planet speaks. It remembers. We must act now. But one of his officers objected. Commander, if we attack too soon, it may awaken fully. What do you mean? I mean, the planet is not just alive, it is intelligent. It has power beyond our understanding. The commander slammed his clawed hand on the table. Power or not, we will burn it. He turned toward the window. Earth hung in the black sky, beautiful blue and very, very angry. Lila opened a message from Ethan. He had found something deep in an old UN file, classified, forgotten. A story from 1952. A drilling site in Siberia had picked up a sound too deep to record. They closed the site and sealed it. The sound was never explained, but the old tape survived. Leela played it. A roar. A scream. A voice. Not again. She whispered to herself, they were here before. And they failed. Ethan replied, but this time, we are not just watching. We are part of it now. Earth is including us in its defense, she asked. How do we help? The reply came from the Earth itself. On every old radio, in every quiet place, in every corner of silence, a voice echoed. Listen, learn, survive. It was no longer just a war between aliens and humans. It was a war between a cold, invading fleet and a living, ancient planet that refused to die. The enemy thought they could conquer Earth, but they didn't know what Earth truly was. They didn't know what it had buried. They didn't know that the ground they walked on could feel, could see, could think. They thought they were the hunters, but they had walked straight into the arms of something far older and far more powerful than they could ever imagine. Earth was no longer just a battlefield. It was a player, and it was already making its move. All over Earth, strange things were happening underground, in deserts, forests, and mountains. The ground spoke not in words, not in sound, in movement, in heat, in light. Something deep inside the earth was waking up. Not fast, slowly, carefully, like a giant beast rising after a long sleep. The aliens had arrived quietly, but now Earth was answering, and it wasn't using guns. It was using itself in the Sahara Desert. A team of soldiers entered a newly discovered cave. The entrance had appeared overnight, perfectly round, smooth like melted glass. Inside, the walls were covered in dark stone, cold to the touch. The deeper they went, the warmer it got. One soldier touched the wall. It rippled like water. He pulled his hand back. What the hell was that? Then the wall changed color from black to deep blue. The air hummed. Suddenly, the ground beneath. Their feet began to move slowly like a breath. The soldiers froze, and then they heard it. A whisper. Not loud. Not angry. Soft, ancient, leave now. Outside, The sand around the cave shifted, swallowing the entrance completely like it had never been there at all. Ethan saw the report on a private military feed. A friend of his sent it with only one message: "The Earth doesn't want them here." He knew what it meant. The Earth was not just aware, it was choosing who could enter and who must be kept out. Leela was busy tracking magnetic pulses across the planet. Her system beeped. New pulse detected. Location: Himalayas. She zoomed in high in the mountains. Close to the clouds there was a quiet village. Something nearby had changed. The mountains were singing. A soft vibration, almost musical, was rolling across the peaks, like a voice without words. She called Ethan. "The mountains are speaking," she said. Ethan replied, "It's happening everywhere, but only where the Earth feels threatened." In Argentina, a team of geologists were testing an old mine. One of them knocked a rock loose. Behind it was a tunnel not man-made. Inside, glowing lines, like veins of light, ran across the walls. They followed them deep underground. At the end of the tunnel, they found something that looked like a machine, but it was made of stone. No wires. No buttons. Just a silent shape. It's pulsing with blue light. One man touched it. His eyes rolled back. He fell. They rushed to help him. He opened his mouth and spoke in a voice that wasn't his. Buried. Hidden. Guarded. Awakened. Then he passed out. The stone machine dimmed. They never found it again. The next day, the tunnel was gone. The alien fleet circled above Earth. They had seen the activity, the heat spikes, the shifting land, and they were afraid. One scout ship flew toward Africa. Its mission: destroy one of the active zones before it became dangerous. They aimed at a small hill where the cave had spoken. The ship charged its weapons then. The ground below them opened, not with fire, not with missiles, with stone. Massive spike like a tower of rock shot upward and pierced the ship through its belly. The ship broke in half before it could fire, and the ground closed again. The aliens didn't even have time to scream. Ethan watched seismic waves from that moment. "It's not just nature anymore," he whispered. "The Earth is aiming." Lila decoded a new signal. This one came from the ocean floor. She saw a repeating pattern in the message, like coordinates. She checked the location: South Pacific. A deep trench. "No one's been there in years," she said. But the signal kept calling. She played it aloud, and again it said, "We remember." In the deep sea, something stirred. A rock wall cracked open, and a blue light shined out. Fish fled. The water heated then. A massive object rose from the seafloor. Not metal, not a submarine, something old, round, covered in coral and stone. It pulsed once, then sank back down. Hiding again, waiting, in a secure alien meeting room, the commander slammed his hand on the console. "These nodes, the planet's defenses are waking. One by one," another alien said. "This world has a memory, and now it's resisting." The commander asked, "What powers them? Not machines? Something deeper?" Not a voice whispered, "Emotion." Psst. They all looked at him. He explained, "The planet responds to fear, to danger, to invasion." The commander growled, "Then it must be destroyed. Now." But it was too late. The nodes were already awake. Some looked like old caves. Some were buried, machines made of stone and bone. Some had no shape at all, just light and energy that flowed like blood through the earth. In Alaska, Ethan's glacier cracked again. This time, a tunnel opened. He entered it alone, holding only a light. He expected cold, but it was warm at the end of the tunnel. He saw it. A sphere of stone floating in the air, humming softly. He reached toward it. His hand passed through it like mist, and then he saw images: fire, sky, ships falling, earth screaming, then silenced, and finally, humans rising, learning, building. The voice said, "This time, you will not stand alone." Lila's screen flickered. A face formed in the static. Not human, not alien. The Earth, a mind, built from billions of years of memory. It looked at her and said, "Protect the deep places. They hold the keys. Then the screen went dark. In the Amazon jungle, trees moved. Not like wind, like footsteps. The roots pulled back from a spot of land, and in the soil, a glowing hand rose made of crystal and stone. It pointed toward the sky then. Disappeared. The message was clear. Earth saw the threat, and it was not finished waking up. The aliens sent a stronger ship. They aimed to destroy. It's the deepest node. In Siberia, they dropped a burning spear from orbit. But before it hit the ground, the clouds above it turned red. The wind spun into a spiral. Lightning struck upward, hitting the spear in midair. The attack failed. The ground shook and split open, and from the crack came a roar. Not an animal, not a machine. Voice deep final. No. Ethan and Lila. Met for the first time through a secure call, they shared everything. Data, visions, signals, they understood. Now Earth had always been alive. It had always watched, but now it had chosen to act, and it had chosen them to help Ethan. Said we are its voice now, Lila said, in its hands. Deep underground, the nodes whispered to each other. Across oceans. Across time, a network older than cities, older than humans, and above. The aliens finally realized the truth. They were not invading a planet. They were invading a being. One that had seen stars fall. One that had buried enemies under its skin. One that was now fully awake and very, very angry. The sky above Earth was changing. Not just clouds, not just color. The air itself felt alive. The winds no longer moved like before. They spun in ways that followed thought, not temperature. Storms started to form in places where the weather had been clear, and they moved with purpose. Earth's body was already fighting now. Its breath was joining the battle. High above the Atlantic Ocean, one of the alien scout ships moved silently. Through the clouds, its sensors picked up nothing. No enemy ships, no weapons, only air.com. Still, but then, the clouds below shifted, fast. A wall of wind slammed into the ship from the side. Not random, not wild. Precise. The ship spun out of control. It tried to pull up, but the wind changed. Direction instantly like a hand pushing it down. Lightning cracked above it, then below, then inside. The ship broke apart. Mid-dash air, no flames, no explosion, just gone. In Florida, people watched the news. Freak storm destroys weather drone, said one reporter. Possibly a test missile, said another. No one agreed. No one knew, but Ethan knew. He sat in his cabin, watching real-time satellite wind maps. The pattern was too perfect, too smart. Winds don't turn corners like that. Clouds don't move against the jet stream. Unless someone was guiding them. He whispered, "It's not just land anymore. Earth is using the sky." Leela was watching too. She saw something even stranger, a storm forming in the Pacific. Ocean, large, round, beautiful. But it wasn't spinning like a normal storm. It was stopping satellites. From seeing into it, as if it knew it was being watched, she zoomed out. It wasn't a storm, it was a shield, a living barrier in the air, covering something, hiding it in space. The alien fleet detected the change. Energy fields in the atmosphere are rising, one scientist said. The commander looked down at Earth. Where? Everywhere. They tried to fire a small test beam at a weather tower in Mexico, but the sky reacted. Clouds gathered instantly. A tornado formed from clear air. The energy beam never reached the ground. The storm caught. It bent. It sent it back. It struck the alien satellite, destroyed in 1 second. The room fell silent. Impossible, one alien whispered. The commander replied, "This planet is not a battlefield. It's a trap." The news showed strange stories, Lightning bolt hit the same tree 5 times in 1 hour. A single cloud hovered over a military base in Asia. For 3 days without moving, a snowstorm started in the Sahara Desert for 10 minutes, then stopped. People began to ask questions. Is the weather broken? No, the weather was awake, and it was choosing sides. Lila received a voice message from Ethan. "It's not just natural reaction," he said. "It's guidance, control, like the Earth is aiming." "The weather," she replied. "Do you think it's a warning?" "No," he said. "I think it's war." A huge alien carrier ship entered Earth's lower orbit. Its target, North America. Its plan, land a troop module near Colorado. But the atmosphere began to fight back. Thunderstorms built around it in minutes. Winds pushed from both sides. Ice formed. On the wings, then melted. Then froze again. The ship's systems shorted. The module fell before landing, crashed into a mountain half. The crew died on impact. The others tried to escape. But then it rained. Just over the crash site, heavy blinding. Rain, the ground turned to mud, then to stone. One by one, they disappeared in the Indian Ocean. A ship that had been parked for observation went dark. It had been watching a small island, nothing special then. Fog surrounded it. Thick, gray, alive. The ship tried to send a signal. Nothing left the cloud then. The fog entered the ship, and no one was heard from again at a UN emergency meeting. Leaders finally began to speak the truth. This is not normal weather. We are under attack. But one voice said something new. We are being protected. Silence. Everyone turned to the speaker. A climate scientist. She said, "I believe Earth itself is defending us. The weather is acting with intelligence." Same places that showed strange underground activity now have storms. It's not random, it's response. A general asked, "You mean to say the planet is alive?" She replied, "No, I mean it's awake." In her apartment, Lila sat in silence. Then her window fogged up from inside. She wrote on it with her finger, "Are you there?" No answer. Then a small shape formed on the glass. A swirl. A spiral. A storm. The message was clear. Yes, back in Alaska. Ethan's radio picked up a new pulse. But this one wasn't a heartbeat. It was a breath. A long inhale, then a soft exhale. The planet was breathing through the sky, and it was building something, not a weapon, a plan, in orbit. The alien commander stared at Earth. This world is defending itself with wind and water. Another officer whispered, "We can't fight the weather," the commander shouted. "Then find the source. Find the brain." But there was no single brain, no command center, no tower. The Earth was its own general, its own weapon, its own army, Lila. It's connected with Ethan once more. The storms. They're forming faster every day. I know. Think they're protecting the nodes. You're right. She showed him a world map. Storms had formed above every place a node was found. It was like armor. Armor made of wind and rain, lightning. And cloud. Then something new happened. A sandstorm formed in the middle of a city, Cairo. It covered only one block. And inside that block, an alien disguised as a human disappeared. No body, no sound, only sand. Earth wasn't just reacting anymore. It was hunting. The alien fleet began to pull back. The commander was nervous. "We came to take this world." He looked around and he said, "It is taking us." Lila opened her laptop. One last message appeared. From Earth, not a warning, not a scream. Just 5 words. "We do not forget, ever." Looked up. Thunder rolled across a clear sky, and she smiled. Far below the Earth's surface, something had started to glow. It was not fire. It was not metal. It was light. Ancient light, old as the planet itself. For thousands of years, the core of Earth had burned silently. A ball of molten iron spinning, slowly giving the planet its magnetic field. But now, something inside the core was changing. It had a rhythm, a beat, and for the first time in history, it was not random. The Earth's heart was waking up. Ethan stood outside his cabin in Alaska, watching the sky dance with strange green lights. Auroras, but these weren't normal. These ones were shaped. They formed symbols, circles, lines. Messages. One of them looked just like the cave symbol he saw back in part 3. He called Leela. They're sending signals through the sky now, he said. Leela had already seen it. Her satellites picked up the same shapes. But who's sending them? She asked. Ethan took a deep breath. The Earth itself. Deep in South America, a volcano that had been dormant for centuries suddenly started to shake. Scientists rushed to study it. No lava, no smoke, just a low vibration. It's like a growl, and then the mountain split open. Not in destruction, in design. Inside was a spiral stairway made of glowing red stone. It's going straight down. No human had built it. A drone was sent. Inside, it went down for 5 minutes. Then it stopped. Its camera showed a chamber filled with pulsing rock, liquid and solid at the same time. It looked alive. Then the drone exploded. The feed ended, and the mountain sealed itself again. On the moon, alien scientists saw something new, a line of heat moving inside the Earth, not random. It traveled from deep in the core to multiple points on the crust. Something is moving inside, they said. The commander of the fleet growled, "Find it, stop it." But they couldn't. Whatever it was beneath their reach at night. Lila heard a voice in her dream. Not words, not language, just a pulse. Strong, warm, alive. When she woke up, her hair stood on end. Her phone buzzed. Ethan was calling. "I had a dream," he said. She replied, "Me too." And together they said, "The core is speaking." In Iceland, a massive geyser exploded with blue steam. Inside the steam, the shape floated a crystal, glowing with heat and humming softly. The local people called it the heart shard. They believed it was a gift from the Earth, something sacred. The government tried to take it, but no one could touch it. Every machine sent toward it shut down. Every human who got close saw visions of lava, fire, skies burning, stars dying. The shard whispered, "You are not alone. You are part of me." In orbit, the alien fleet sent a heat drill to dig straight toward Earth's core. They wanted to destroy the source. The drill entered the crust. It burned downward fast. But when it reached the mantle, it vanished. No signal, no trace, gone, like it had never existed. The alien commander screamed, "We are being played with." Ethan traveled to Yellowstone. He had tracked the pulses to that spot, one of Earth's largest supervolcanoes. But it was quiet, too. It's quiet when he placed a sensor on. The ground. It overloaded in seconds. He sat still, listening, and then he felt it. The heartbeat. It wasn't just under Yellowstone. It was everywhere now. Strong, coordinated. The Earth's inner fire was no longer sleeping. In Japan, magma rose through the ground, but instead of destroying the area, it formed perfect circles around sacred shrines. It didn't burn, it protected. People began to understand. The Earth wasn't angry with them, it was guarding them. From the invaders, the alien fleet grew desperate. They gathered all ships and fired a full scale, orbital strike at multiple hotspots. Australia, Africa, Canada, Asia. The beams hit the ground. With full force, explosions lit up the sky, but then the Earth answered from each spot. Giant stone towers erupted, filled with glowing magma and crystal veins. They shot energy straight into space, like spears of light. 3 alien ships were destroyed instantly. Others were blinded. The beams weren't just fire. They were coded. Each blast sent data into the sky warning shots. Messages, memories. The Earth was talking back. Loudly, Leela studied the energy spikes. They're communicating with each other. She told Ethan. Like a nervous system, Ethan said. Brain made of stone and fire. They're not just defending anymore, she whispered. They're preparing. In Antarctica, a crack appeared across a glacier. Inside was a chamber of glowing black rock. When sunlight touched it, a whole continent vibrated, and a voice low and deep spoke. Into the minds of sensitive humans across the world, you lit the fire inside me. I'll burn. Above the Earth, lightning danced across the stratosphere like veins. The storms in the sky were now part of the same system. Everything was connected. Wind, fire, stone, water, And now, the core. The Earth was not a planet anymore. It was a warrior, awake, aware, and angry. Back in Alaska, Ethan looked at a map. All the core nodes, storm zones, mountain pulses, they were forming a shape. Pattern, not human, not alien. Something older, something terrifying. A warning. Lila joined the dots on her screen and gasped. "It's not Earth that's in danger," she said. "It's them." The Earth was no longer defending. It was attacking, not with ships, not with bombs, but with its own body. The core was the heart. The storms were the breath, and we, the humans, were its voice. The moon had always watched Earth in silence. It was cold, dead. Still, no wind, no fire, no voice. But that silence, it was about to break. Something had changed in the past few days. The moon had seen Earth suffer. It had seen Earth fight. And now, for the first time in thousands of years, the moon began to remember. Lila was staring at new data coming from the lunar observation lab. Something strange was happening on the moon's surface. Small tremors, tiny cracks in the rock, moonquakes. Ethan asked her over the call. "Yes," Lila replied, "but not random. They're following the Earth's core pulses, like they're sinking." Ethan froze. "You think the moon is responding?" Lila didn't answer. Instead, she'd sent him a picture. A photo from the lab's latest scan. In the middle of the moon's largest crater was a tear-shaped crack. Perfectly smooth, not natural. And beneath it, soft, glowing light. Far above, the alien fleet was already watching. The commander had noticed the same thing. "Why is the moon shifting?" he asked. One of the alien scientists replied, "We believe the Earth's awakening is affecting nearby bodies. The moon is linked." Linked. The commander looked nervous. He ordered his team to fire at deep space, scan into the moon's core. They expected cold rock. They expected silence. What they got was a pulse. A low, deep sound like a song from under stone. Lila couldn't sleep. That night, she kept thinking about the image, the crack, the glow, the shape. Tear-shaped, like the moon was. Crying, she called Ethan again. "I think the moon remembers something," she said. "Like what?" "Like pain."
Ow.
3 hours later, every telescope on Earth picked up a strange sight. Dust was lifting off the moon's surface, slowly, like breath. And with it, old things began to rise. Ruins, structures buried for millions of years. No human had ever seen them before, and yet, they looked familiar. Not man-made, not alien. Earth-made, or more correctly, Earthborn. The moon had once held Earth's secrets, and now it was giving them back in secret labs around the world. People began to dream the same dream. They saw the moon as it once was alive, glowing blue on the inside. They saw people standing. They're tall, bright, strange but human in shape. They saw the first war, the first fall, the first silence, and one phrase echoed in every dream. "We sent part of ourselves to sleep." Back on the moon, the tear-shaped crack widened. From inside, steam poured out slow, blue, glowing like gas. It wasn't harmful, but it felt sad. Lila watched the footage from the moon, and for the first time in her life, she cried. Not from fear, but from sorrow. The moon wasn't just reacting, it was mourning. The aliens couldn't understand this satellite is showing signs of emotional transmission, one of them said. Impossible, said another. But the moon sent out a new pulse. This time, it reached space, and it was powerful. So powerful. One of the alien frigates lost control. Its weapons stopped working. Its engine shut down. It drifted like a leaf in water. Ethan visited an old observatory with ancient star maps. He looked at carvings. Thousands of years old. One of them showed the Earth and the moon, connected by light, and in between them, symbol for loss. He whispered the moon lost something long ago. Beneath the surface of the moon, machines began to wake up. They weren't human machines. They were ancient, organic, made from crystal and stone. But they moved like computers. They activated slowly. One by one, they hummed in harmony with Earth's core. Together, they formed a bridge of energy between Earth and Moon. The sky above Earth changed again. This time, not with clouds or storms, but with light lines stretching from the moon like fingers touching the sky. People saw it all over the world. A glowing net. Connection. The moon was no longer alone, and neither was Earth. The alien commander had had enough. He ordered a full power laser. Strike on the moon's surface. It fired from orbit. It struck the tear-shaped crack. But before the beam could even reach it, a shield rose. Not metal, not energy, but emotion. The beam stopped, frozen, mid-air, then shattered like glass. The commander collapsed too, his knees. He couldn't breathe. He felt something heavy inside his chest, a deep sadness. Regret, what is this? Feeling? He asked. The scientist whispered, the moon is making you remember. All across Earth, people started to dream the same thing again. The moon spoke through the dreams. It showed a memory, a warning once. Earth and moon had fought side by side against something far worse than aliens, something that came from farther, something that the Earth buried, but never destroyed. The aliens were not the true enemy. They were just the first wave. The moon cracked open further, from the center. A strange tower rose, made of silver rock and blue glass. It pointed straight at Earth, and it sang, not a song of war, a song of homecoming. Lila said it aloud. The moon is not just a rock. It's our memory, Ethan agreed. It's Earth's twin, Earth's protector. He looked up. The moon was glowing, crying, and healing. The final message appeared. On Lila's computer, from the moon itself, only 2 words. We're ready. The Earth was no longer silent. Its core burned with ancient fire. Its storms whispered secrets. Its mountains moved like breathing giants. The planet was fully awake, and now, so was the moon. The final connection had been made. Energy lines pulsed. From the moon to Earth and back. Forming a web of light no alien ship could break. For the first time in history, Earth and moon were one system, one mind, one body, one memory. Lila stood at the edge of the Grand Canyon. The ground beneath her hummed, like a drum, not threatening, comforting like a heartbeat. She looked at the sky. The moon was glowing brighter than ever before. It's happening, she whispered. Ethan was in Iceland now, where the Earth's last heart shard had risen through the ice. It spun slowly in the air, pulsing with light. He touched it in a flash. His mind opened. He saw a vision. The first humans, not the ones in caves, but the ones that lived before memory, before history, before even language. They were made of light and fire, part of Earth itself. They had built cities in the sky, machines inside the crust, and towers on the moon. But then, something came. Something dark. Not from a planet. From the space between. It didn't want Earth's resources. It wanted silence. It wanted life to forget itself. And so, the first ones fought. The Earth itself fought with them. And when the final battle came, they made a choice. They buried their enemy deep, under the South Pole. And then, they put themselves to sleep. The Earth became a womb. The moon became a tomb. And humans were born from what was left behind. Now, invaders had returned. Not the old ones, but scouts, aliens, machines, trying to test if Earth still remembered. Trying to wake the old enemy by accident. And they had come so close. But now, it was too late. Earth was awake, and the ancient memory was back. The alien fleet hovered above Earth. Afraid to attack again, their weapons had failed. Their minds had been touched by the moon's sadness. Their machines now shook with fear. The alien commander no longer gave orders. He just stared at Earth, What have we done? He asked quietly. Suddenly all across Earth, massive stone towers rose, not weapons. Beacons, they lit up like stars. Each one pointed to the sky. They weren't just calling to the moon now. They were calling to something deeper, from beneath Antarctica. The ice cracked. A hole opened in the ice shelf. From it, a shape began to rise. Black, tall, sharp. As knives, it was not alien. It was not human. It was forgotten. The last prison of the first enemy, and it was starting to break. The moon reacted first. Its glowing tower fired a beam of light directly into the South Pole. It was joined by Earth's towers, one by one. A web of energy focused on the hole, trying to hold it closed, but the seal was weak. Too much time had passed. Too much damage had been done, and from the hole came a voice cold, empty, and full of hate. You remembered? Now you will regret? Ethan screamed as the heart shard exploded in his hands. Lila fell to her knees as the sky turned black. The alien fleet began to fire again, this time not at Earth, but at the hole. They had seen what was waking up. They knew now they weren't the enemy. They were afraid of the real one, but Earth wasn't finished. From under the oceans, giant machines rose. Built by the first ones, made of crystal and magma, they flew into the sky like dragons. Made of light, they joined with the moon's energy tower, and then the sun responded. A solar flare, massive and bright, struck Earth's magnetic field. Instead of damage, it fed the grid. The Earth shone like a star for one final moment. The entire solar system stopped. Even the stars seemed to pause. Ethan and Lila met in Antarctica. The ground was shaking, but between them, a new shard formed. Not from Earth, not from Moon, but from them. Humans. Modern humans. Full of mistakes, but also full of hope. The shard pulsed with a color never seen before: white-blue, gold. Together, they dropped it into the hole, and as it fell, Earth spoke, Moon sang, and the enemy screamed. The hole closed. The dark voice faded, and everything went. Still not dead, just sealed again, but this time, not alone. This time, Earth had its memory, its moon, its humans, its voice the alien fleet received. One final message, it came from the Earth itself, translated into every language in the galaxy. We were not sleeping. We were healing. Now we remember. Come in peace or don't come at all. The aliens turned around. They left without another word, not out of fear, out of respect. On Earth, the skies cleared, the towers retracted, the crystals returned underground. The Earth slept again, but not fully, just resting, watching, waiting in the stars above. Many civilizations heard the message. Some were scared, some were curious. Some began preparing war. But deep in the center of Earth, the last heart shard beat gently, and the planet whispered to itself, "They thought I was defenseless." They were wrong.